What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a brand new guide for Anno 1800. This guide is geared towards beginners and newcomers to the franchise, or if you are a somewhat not so brand new player, but maybe you're trying to learn some new things about the game, there might be things you're not sure about, then maybe you'll find some helpful information in this video as well. Today's topic is going to be the production menu and things that you can do to help yourself understand how you need to produce goods, what your consumption rates are, and when to produce more of something. So one of the major questions I see asked quite often between Reddit, Facebook, and Discord and the forums is, how do I know how much I need to be producing to satisfy my citizens? My income is fluctuating up and down constantly. I'm going from negative to positive, back to negative. It never makes sense. Well, there is a fabulous tool in the game to help you understand that, and that is called the Production tab. The Production tab was added to the game in December of 2019, along with Update 6, which was the Passage DLC. So we went through a period of time where we did not have any in-game way of knowing exactly how much we needed to satisfy our people. We had to use third-party calculators from GitHub and companion apps on the phone and things like that. Now those calculators are still useful in their own way, but the in-game calculator and the in-game production tab gives you a much better overview because it does things the calculator just can't handle, such as knowing that you have additional production coming from specialists, or you have bonuses from cultural sets, such as the Taiga Forest cultural set, which decreases consumption of many goods by 5%. So the calculators cannot always know every single detail about what you have going on. But the in-game calculator does, and you don't have to input any numbers, you don't have to fill anything in, it does it all for you. To find this in-game wonder, you can get to it several ways. You can use Control Q on your keyboard. You can click the balance right here, and it will take you to the statistics screen. Or you can click any production building and click this button right here, and it says statistics, and it will bring up this menu right here. Now, if you click on a production building and you do it, it's going to bring up exactly that production queue. To get out of that and see everything, just hit cancel search, and then you can see everything. This is the production screen. This is an overview for your entire island, or for every single island you have in the game. You cannot sort by region, which is a feature I would actually like to see implemented, is to sort. Maybe I just want to know what's happening within Cape Trelawney, or maybe just what's happening in the New World. But at the moment, we don't have that. If in the future that is added, and you're watching this video and you're like, but wait, I think I can do that, ignore what I just said. They are constantly improving the game, so they may add that at some point. But at the time of recording, you can search by individual island or look at all islands. So, what is this production screen and what does it do? How do you read it? What is all here? So the main thing that you want to take away from the production screen is these two bars. If you don't learn anything else from this video and you don't care about anything else, learn this. Keep the green bar at a higher number than the blue bar. If you're colorblind or something like that, keep the bottom bar higher than the top bar. That's basically it. This bottom bar needs to be equal to or greater than the number in the top. That is it. That is the basics of what this screen is good for. Now, there is a lot of information here, and I do see people that get confused about what all this information means, so let's go through it real quick. Now, you can hover over everything, and it will tell you what that is. When you hover over the bars right here, it tells you the upper bar shows the demand for the good, the lower its supply. The difference between the value is its trend. So your demand is the current amount of good being consumed compared to the potential that could be consumed. And the supply is the current amount of good being produced compared to the potential amount that could be produced. So all that means is basically this is how much you're making, this is how much you're consuming. That's all you need to worry about. As you can see, mine is fluctuating quite a bit here with, let's say, wood, and I also see it fluctuating quite a bit with wool. That is because my storage is actually full. And so things are not being picked up and things are not being dropped off, so it actually lowers the current potential of the supply and the demand. But don't really worry about those trends too awful much. Do keep an eye on them. If you know that your stocks are not full, you might have a warehouse loading ramp issue that you might need to upgrade your warehouses because things are taking far too long to go. But once you get big enough and you know that your warehouses are full just because you click on your warehouses enough and see that, then that's mostly what this right here means, and you don't have to so much concern yourself with the fluctuations right here. This column right here is your consumption versus your production. So let's say fish, for example. I have a current supply of 8 and I have a demand of 7. That gives me an excess of 1 ton per minute that I am overproducing. It's a little strange because of how all of this right here works when it says ton per minute, because some things take more than a minute to produce, but you'll always show like a supply of 1 or 2 right here. I honestly cannot explain that difference, and it would get way too technical and very statisticky, I think is the right word for it, to try to get down into the nitty gritty of it. And that is not what this video is about. This video is just to give you a basic overview of what all of this stuff is so you can use it to ensure your productions are meeting the demand. So this right here, basically, it tells you how much you have until you are needing more. Like, for instance, right here. Actually, that's not a good one. Where was a good one I saw? Where was a good one I saw? Here we go. This is a good one right here. Your sewing machines. My sewing machines, I have a supply of 45, but a demand of 48, which means I am actually consuming 3 more per a ton per minute than what I'm producing. So that is what that means. Basically, what I need to do is I need to go toss down another sewing machine. So let's go do that real quick. Let's look under artisans and grab a sewing machine out. And let's find me a spot in this this god-awful city where I can put a sewing machine at. Here we go. There's a good spot for one right there. So there's a new sewing machine factory. So we're going to go back over here. And we're going to look at right there at our sewing machines. Now I am producing 49 and I have a demand of 48. So now I am actually overproducing. It has not caught up yet because that sewing machine factory has not fully come online, but once it does, I will have a consumption versus production of an additional 1. So that is all that column right there means, is how much your everything is back and forth. It's not a column you need to worry about too awful much. I personally don't pay much attention to this column right here. I focus purely on these right here. Filter by productivity. This right here is just your total productivity, so you can get an idea of the average productivity of all of those factories. Anything that is electric, if you have all your window makers, for instance, all within the range of one thing, they're all right together, they're all at 200%, then you have all of them working at 200%. As you can see right here, my windows are actually kind of fluctuating around, but they're about 242% total. So that is what this column is. It is just showing you the average productivity of all of that industry. The last column right here is your filter by profit. Now, yes, you can filter these, by the way. You can sort. It's actually a sort. It's not a filter, really. It's a sort. So you can sort by highest productivity all the way down to your lowest productivity. Over here, you can filter and sort by profit as well. So what the filter by profit section is exactly what it says. Is how much it costs you or how much it's making you. I'm currently spending 7,000 per minute on window makers, and it goes on down from there. Now, when it gets into the positive, that's how much money you're making from your taxes from your residents for that. My steam carriages, I have a almost perfect supply versus demand, 4 and 4, and it's making me 94,000 coins per minute. That is how much it's making me, and that is That is what this column right here is. It's simply how much it's costing you versus how much you're making from it. Now, sometimes these can be in the negative if, say, you build something too early. Say you unlocked canned food for the artisan, but you only have a single artisan residence. You upgraded one worker into an artisan. Now you've unlocked canned food, and you've gone trying to build a canned food chain. Well, you're not going to have enough artisans to supply it, and you're probably actually going to be in deficit if you try. So it actually won't make you money, it's going to cost money. But eventually it will start making you money, and that number right there will go into the positive. So that is the basic overview of this section right here. Now you can filter, you can view all goods, consumer goods, which are your luxury goods, basic needs, things like that, construction materials, raw materials, agricultural products, and intermediate products. You can sort by all of that right there and take a look at it. Now this side over here is a breakdown of everything. I rarely use this graph. This graph is just showing you an over time. It goes back, mine goes back 93 minutes, and it just shows you your consumption, your demand versus your supply in a graph chart. If you are a person that likes graphs and likes seeing how the fluctuation of your supply versus your demand, that is a great chart right here of historical data. If this is not your thing or it's confusing to you, don't worry about it. You can disregard it. This over here is really for the number crunchers, is what this is, and for those real efficiency players is what this is for. Most of us that aren't that detailed into it are just going to be looking at these numbers right here and making sure that they either are balanced or you're making more than what you need. The second tab over here under the breakdown section is a breakdown of every single building within that has to do with these goods. So right now we're looking at lumberjack huts, and you can see I have 18. Some of them are working at 150%. I have one that's working at 5%, most likely because it is full and it's not being able to drop off any of its goods. You can sort by productivity modifiers. All of mine are working at an additional 50%. And then you can also filter based by base productivity. So that is what these are. Your base productivity is literally what that means. Your base productivity for pretty much any building is going to be 100%. Some will be at 200% if it has electricity. I do believe, nope, that the cab assembly line still does show 100%, even though technically it has to be powered, so it's 200%. But yeah, base productivity is just a 50%, is just 100%. Modifiers have to do with any modifiers that you have added onto it. That's going to be your working conditions, specialists, or electricity. All of that is added into that, and then it gives you your total. So one thing that you can note on here, and you probably noticed it when I clicked on pocket watches, is that it shows you everywhere it's being made. Now, yes, I have 2 clock makers working at 246%. However, I have pocket watches coming from what? A sewing machine factory and 6 bicycle factories? That is due to a specialist. I have a specialist that is giving me additional goods from the sewing machine and bicycle factories. He's giving me pocket watches. So the game figures that into your total production numbers. So that is one thing that is actually very helpful. That I think there might be one calculator that can help with this. I know that there's a calculator, a manual calculator out there where you can put in alterations to, like the costume designer, for instance, for the fur coat dealer, which swaps out the cotton for wool. But I'm not sure if there is I honestly don't think there's a specialist a option for that specialist in any of the calculators where you can put in how many factories you have covered by a specialist that produces extra, and it can figure that in. If I am wrong, please let me know. I haven't followed calculators in several months, but because these right here have done away with calculators because it is very detailed. So my clock makers, my sewing machine, and my bicycle factories are all figured into how much my supply for pocket watches is. Fur dealers, same thing. You can just go down through here and look at all of that. See, I have gramophones coming from 6 bicycle factories and a sewing machine as well. So yes, I have one gramophone factory, but all of this right here is also adding in to my total production. So this is a very good screen right here, so you know exactly where you're getting all of your supply from. Oh, and that last column right there, I almost completely forgot about that last column right there, is your workforce. That is just telling you how many people are working at that particular factory. So that is really a good overview of that right there. If you clicked all islands, you can obviously see everything for every single island. It is a good way to view a view at a glance, really, if for things that have to be traded between the old and new world. Rum, for example, is a great example of that. Rum is shipped from the New World to Crown Falls and the Old World for luxury good consumption. And so you can view all islands and you can see your rum need across every island you have and what your supply coming from the New World is. So you can see at a glance right there how much rum you need spread out across the world. Now, again, I would prefer if there was a region button so I could filter specifically by region instead of just everything, because I only produce stuff locally in Cape Trelawney, so I want to see everything in Cape Trelawney. But can't do that right now, so all islands is what we've got, and it works fairly well. We can see all of that stuff. So what does all this have to do with anything? How does it help you? So what this right here does is this is going to help you if you have problems with fluctuating income. Fluctuating income is always due to a lack of goods for your citizens. It's if your income is going from 30,000 one minute to minus 25 the next minute, you have a supply problem. You might hear my cat. She's in there all of a sudden deciding to say hello to everybody. Hello, cat. Anyways, so if you have a balance problem, your balance is fluctuating everywhere. Come here, sort by consumer goods. Usually, it's going to be on your primary island, with especially once you get into engineers and investors and that sort of income level. I mean, artisans can too, but engineers and investors, you're going to see the biggest changes in numbers with engineers and investors. But if you have any sort of fluctuating income, come to the production tab, check out the consumer goods, and go down through there and see where your supply is lacking. It's probably going to be in, God forbid, coffee. That's all I got to say. Coffee. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Beer is another big one. You can see right here, I'm actually underproducing beer. I need to make more beer. So I would add in a few breweries. Now, of course, once you add in another brewery, everything else is going to shift. You're going to need more malt. You're going to need more hops. And so you can go here under agriculture and figure out how many more hop farms you need. Then you go under intermediate products. You'll see how much more malt you need. I always suggest build one at a time. I mean, you can go if you know the exact layout, you know what to build. But some things you can get, especially if it's electrified or you have specialists, build one, see what it does to your supply versus demand, and then build another one. Don't build too many. If you place down a brewery, don't all of a sudden place down 5 malt distillery things. You don't need that many. Build 1 or 2, see what it does to your supply. Over time, you're going to learn the numbers. You will learn them. You'll become familiar with how many you need. So you don't always have to refer back to here. Of course, you can always look down here at the timers. This is another thing I've noticed people don't know about is these timers. If you hover over any building, it will tell you this wood is produced every 15 seconds. The sugarcane is produced every 30 seconds. The rum distillery is every 30 seconds. So one lumberjack hut will actually supply 2 rum distilleries. One sugarcane plantation will supply 1 rum distillery. So if you wanted to build 2 rum distillery chains, you would build 2 distilleries, 2 sugarcane plantations, 1 lumberjack hut. Does that make sense? Pretty easy. pretty standard fare and everything. We're going to jump over here to the new world. Go find my island right here. Now, this is the thing some people do get confused on. Your lumberjack hut and your sawmill is also 15 to 15. So if you have one lumberjack hut on your sugarcane island and you have a sawmill, you can still supply one rum distillery. But if you decide to build another rum distillery, you'll need another lumberjack hut because now it is tied up between the sawmill and the rum distillery, because the rum distillery is 30 seconds, but the sawmill is 15. You can't actually supply all of that. Does that make sense? You can't do 2 distilleries off of one sawmill if you have one lumberjack hut if you have a sawmill. But if you don't want to do the math in your head, it's fine. Go to the production tab. That's what it's there for. Use it. It's very helpful. You're going to get so much information out of it. You don't have to do the math in your head. You don't need a calculator. You don't have to sit there and constantly plug in your population numbers or the number of houses you have and flip through specialists and check this, check that. You don't have to do it. Just use the in-game production tab. That's what it's there for. Learn it, love it, marry it. It's going to be your best friend. It's going to help you a lot. If you have questions, if you're not sure about something, feel free to ask me. I have a community Discord. I am there all the time. I'm always available to answer questions. If I'm not available to answer a question, there's a lot of very helpful people on there as well. There's also the Annoverse community Discord, which is the public Discord for the unofficial Anno Discord, with hundreds of people on there as well that are very helpful, that can answer your questions. And the links to both of those are in the description down below. Thank you for joining me. I hoped this helped you with understanding the production tab, what it is, what it can do for you, what it means. If you're still a little confused, hey, leave a comment, hit me up. Let's go through it together and get you settled and get you figured out. I want to make sure everybody knows about everything there is about this wonderful game and they can figure out how to manage their productions correctly, wisely, and make money in the game. So, until the next video, guys, take care.